Okay, thank you guys for joining us for Hangin with the Hogs. We are excited and grateful that you guys are joining us to watch in on some of these videos. We have kind of evolved our conversations with Coach Watson, and now we want to kind of introduce you guys to some other people who are just a special part of our program, and one of those people being Macey. So we're excited that, that you're going to be a part of this conversation, and we hope you're going to learn a little bit more about Macey today. We're here with Macey Donathan, previously Macey Gardner, and super excited about this conversation because obviously, like, we're still kind of getting to know each other. Just started in March, but I think one of the coolest things as I was just trying to kind of learn more about you secretly, you know, for this interview.
A little creep.
I know, I felt like a total creep. I'm watching YouTube videos last night of Macey Gardner at Arizona State.
I'm sorry you had to do
my husband's like, what are you doing? Oh, I'm just creeping on Macey. That's fine. Yeah, I think one of the coolest things is just like how big of a deal you were, and I didn't even know it because you're just the most humble human being I've ever been around. I mean, I think you just, like, you're just such a hard worker, and you rarely talk about yourself. And
how much are you getting paid right now?
I know, right? I promise. So it's super cool. So I'm just gonna, just for people who don't know this, so that you don't have to read it off, I'm gonna say some things about you that's pretty cool. So you played at Arizona State for 4 years under Jason.
Yep.
And one of the major things that you did, no big deal, was become the Arizona State record holder for career kills with over 1,800 kills. And you were the 3-time Pac-12 All-Conference selection, only the second at Arizona State volleyball player to do so. You were an All-American. You were selected to play on the Pac-12 volleyball all-star team in China. That's super cool. Participated in the winter training in 2013 with the USA national team. And then, not even like individual accolades aside, you were starting for a team that went to the NCAA tournament 4 years in a row. So not once did you not go to the tournament.
Right.
No big deal. It's fine. I mean, how does that make you feel hearing all those things? Like, do you just flash back with a ton of memories?
Yeah, I guess that's all just a conglomeration of 4 years of life that I had I had a fabulous time. You know, when you think about making a decision to go and play a sport in college and you envision what that looks like. I mean, if I saw those numbers before I went to Arizona State, I would be, well, this is totally worth it, for sure. But I think even more than that, the memories that were made along the way became almost more important to me. And just my memories with Jason, him being my coach, but even more so than that, the girls that I was able to play with, I mean, those were just special moments. And I mean, I'll tell you this, I enjoyed playing volleyball for a long time.
Yeah. So if we backtrack even further back in club volleyball days, like, when did you get started? When did you realize that, like, okay, I'm pretty good at this. I'm going to go pursue this at a higher level?
Yeah, I think you really try to avoid getting validation from other sources or people. You just don't want to think or elevate yourself in some way, thinking you're better than you are. So you just play volleyball and you see what happens. And I think for me, I was luckily surrounded by a lot of good coaches, and was trained at an early age to really handle some situations in the game of volleyball that were maybe tougher than most at my age. So, you know, being in 8th grade and playing with 16 to 18-year-olds, like, that was my first exposure to volleyball.
Wow.
And playing volleyball at an elevated level at a young age, I think kind of helped me realize, okay, that's where I need to be. Like, that's what I need to do to get to this spot. So my first offer came in 8th grade, which is a little early, but the coach essentially was just like, yeah, we know this isn't going to happen. We know you're not going to commit to us, but I'm just going to offer it anyway because there's no way I would want a kid like this to go without me saying something. And it was like, okay, that's interesting, you know. But then obviously,
just trying to find your locker at middle school at that point.
Yeah, like, I'm like, I don't even know where I'm going to high school, so let me figure that out first. But once freshman, sophomore year, got into that a little bit, and played on a pretty competitive club team and had a great coach and supported me in a lot of different ways. It was at that point in time when you could go make unofficial visits and things like that. And so a lot of times the recruiting or the club weekends doubled as a recruiting weekend for me. It would be, hey, go play this tournament, finish the tournament, and go see this college campus. So it was about freshman, sophomore year that I was like, okay, I can actually do this. And around that same time, my parents were like, yeah, so we don't have money for you to go to college, so if you want to do this, you're going to have to figure this out on your own. And I was like, all right, that makes sense. I'll have to just pursue this whole volleyball thing here for a little bit.
Yeah. So why Arizona State? Like, what attracted you to that opportunity?
Yeah, I think there were a lot of things that attracted me to Arizona State, but I think on paper it didn't make sense. The only thing at that time that people could kind of understand was that it was in my hometown. And I think that meant more to me when I got to college and I saw my family at the games and I could have them share that experience with me. But in the recruiting process, I wasn't looking to stay close to home. I was open to branching out and playing at this top 25 school. Like, that's what I was thinking would happen. But when the moment I was exposed to Jason Watson and just the way he talked to his recruits, he talked to his staff, the way he went about recruiting in general, very open, very honest, and just the mere fact that he was taking a program that was struggling a little bit and wanted something better, and to do it in a conference that was as competitive as the Pac-12. The moment I heard that, I was like, yeah, I'm on board with that. And I committed right before my junior year of high school, and my senior year, I think they won 2 matches in conference, 2. And my parents are like, are you sure you want to do this? And at no point was I like, yeah, no, I don't know about this. I think I was pretty, I was locked in with Jason, I think. I knew who he was, I knew what he wanted to do, and I knew it was going to take some hard work and that he wasn't afraid to do that. And I knew that he was recruiting the kids that were going to help change that program around, and he's not afraid of jumping into that kind of, jumping over that hurdle, so to speak. And I knew that from the beginning, and the mere fact that we had the experiences and moments that we did was really cool to just say, like, we talked about this before this happened, you know.
That's awesome. So your freshman year, I mean, you like came in and you hit the ground running. Like, you had a lot of success even your freshman year, which is very difficult at that level to come in at such a young age and, okay, let's do this. So what do you feel like, was it just a mindset? Were you doing things ahead of time your senior year to prepare for that moment? Like, what do you feel like attributed to that success so early?
Yeah, I think this knowledge of knowing that, hey, not that he had given me a starting spot before I even came on campus. In fact, it was the opposite. He was like, hey, if you want to play, you've got to do this, this, and this. And so there was never this expectation that I was just going to come in and just be great. So that alone, I think for me was like, all right, every day I'm going to go work out. I'm going to be in the gym as often as possible. I mean, I came in as a freshman almost scared because you don't know what to expect. Like, I'm going to have to fight my way through this, and in a way that little fear that I had placed on myself, I think almost helped me be better than I would have had I had this mindset of I'm going to come in and rock their world. That was not what was going on at all. But I think, yeah, the time that you spend in the craft that you're trying to hone in on will always help you. It will always benefit you. So the more reps you get, the time that you spend in the gym and thinking about those things, I think my senior year going into my freshman year really, really helped me come in as a freshman and just be a little bit more stable than I had anticipated.
Yeah. So the 2 words, this is kind of, I just thought of this, but when I think about you as we're talking, humble and hungry are 2 words that I feel like describe you as somebody who's just kind of getting to know you. And like, where do you feel like you get that? Is that from something that your parents taught you? Or is that just something that maybe you learned from someone?
I would say that can be a lot of different things, but I would say that my parents definitely played a role in that. I mean, they both played college sports, and they had been in that world. But I'd also, my dad was a great basketball player and got in a car wreck early on in his life when I was a baby. And just this knowledge that there is always someone out there that is better than you. That is always the case. And even on your best day, there is someone out there that is also outperforming you. And so this idea that like I've arrived is just false. It just, even on your best day, there's things that you can take away from that moment and say, I could have done that a little bit better, or I could have thought about that a better way. And so, humble, hungry, I think just this idea that, it never ends. You've never reached your goal. My goal was never those accolades. My goal was, I'm gonna go help my team. I wanna be here to make sure that we have the experience that we want, that we go as far into the tournament as we can, and just enjoy the moment. But I think part of it was my dad, just that constant reminder, like, hey, in a moment it's gone. Yeah. It could be gone in a moment. And knowing that just live each day, take each practice as it comes and enjoy it,
Yeah, I think that's amazing. So you have these 3 years that you guys have gone to the tournament every year. You guys are, you're killing it, right? And going into your senior year, you guys are ranked 5th in the country at some point. And you have, from what I'm hearing, a season-ending injury. So you tear your ACL. At what point in the season did that happen?
Yeah, so we had just finished up our preseason, so we were 12-0, and I think what was really nice about that preseason was we scheduled pretty tough opponents. Yeah. So a lot of times in preseason, you can kind of schedule some things out in your favor, and for us, we didn't necessarily do that. I think we took some punches, but we also responded pretty well. So we're 12-0, feeling really good, undefeated preseason, and then we hop into conference play. And in the Pac-12, it's, right off the bat, you're facing some rivals like Arizona, and then we played Cal, Stanford. Stanford at the time, I believe, was 6th, maybe. They may have been higher than that, and beat them in 4. And it was like, at that moment, it was like, okay, like,
we're good.
Yeah. Now we're not talking about making it to the tournament. We're talking about, well, where do we want to finish this deal? Like, how far are we going to go? And so those were really exciting conversations. And of course, when you're a senior and your graduation is coming up in December, your thoughts start to kind of veer into this realm of, okay, well, what am I going to do after this moment ends, after this season ends? And so for me, it was like, okay, I want to go play overseas. I had always wanted to play for the national team. That was a huge goal for me. And so those things were starting to kind of come up into play. And it was kind of a big week. There was a week where, we beat Cal, we beat Stanford, and after that, offensive player of the week. I had my birthday, I was turning 22, so it was just this really cool time. I got the record against our match against Cal. And so it was just this, like, everything's coming together, the Lord's really taking care of me and all that stuff. 2 days later, I'm lying on my back in a match in Washington with my knee completely just torn apart, ACL, MCL, meniscus, the whole thing. And initially you're like, well, what did I do wrong? What did I do that deserved this? And I think that's the wrong question to ask. Like, in that moment, it's an emotional moment, and that's where your mind goes to. But being 5 years removed from that, everything in my life right now that I love and that I have enjoyed, the mere fact that I am coaching now is because that moment happened. Had that not happened, I wouldn't be here, and I wouldn't be married to the guy I'm married to, so it's just like little things like that, I had these dreams to go play overseas. I wanted to play with the national team, but that just wasn't it. That wasn't in the cards for me, and it's okay. And now I get to be a part of a program with a great boss, with great assistants, and a team of 18 girls that are just awesome kids. And I'm married to a guy that I obviously love, and so everything's kind of worked out. I'm good with it, know. But in that moment, it was tough. But to also be a coach that can say, hey, I've had that injury, I've been down. So, these kids that come in and maybe they're not taking school seriously, or they're, not being great with their rehab and stuff like that. I feel like I can kind of come in around them and say, hey, like, there's more to it than just volleyball.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely. Love learning about you as a player and just who you were. And so excited because part 2 is coming. We're gonna start to kind of dive into you as a coach and kind of why you got into coaching, why Arkansas, and yeah, it'll get good. So I'm excited. Part 2 coming your way.